Good morning, Panthers. This is our Panther podcast where we interview our people on campus. We have a group here from RJ. We have Miss Tinsley, we have Casey, we have David, and we have Zamaje. And I'm your co-host, Keyshawn. Max has his day off, and we have Mauricio here.
So, glad to have you guys here.
So, what is RJ? For those who don't know what RJ is.
Well, RJ is about come together as one big old family that can create a bond and just talk out your problems, since it's really hard for a kid, such as ourselves, to talk to a teacher. So it's better if you're able to talk to another student about what's going on and see how far we can get from there.
Okay, that's great. So is there any specific grade level that can be in this group, or is it for all grades?
It's all grades.
And you guys are all in the same grade?
Yes.
What grade are you guys in?
11.
11th grade.
Okay.
And have you been there all 3 years?
No, I started this year. He actually showed me the way he was talking about it. I was actually really agreeing with it, how good it is, and he told me all about it about restorative justice, and I was like, oh, you're just chilling there, or build a circle and feel comfortable where other people can too. And we always do a circle with other people and other classes in there, and within the circle stays in there. Anything you say just stays in there.
So that's what brought you in, right?
Yeah.
What brought you in there?
Well, she talked about it last year with me, since I like helping people. So she was like, maybe next year you can join the class and help others. And I was like, okay, that sounds like a great plan. So I decided to join, and now it gets me here to this day that I'm happy to help those who need it the most.
That's great. What about you, Casey?
Same as Samaje. Same thing happened. So she told me about it. I joined this year, and I like it so far. So I'm happy to be here.
And where are you guys located, for those who want to come and learn more?
We're located at, isn't it B220?
Yeah, so my classroom is B220, so anybody who has general questions about restorative justice can come and just ask me, hey, what's up with this? We do circles, and we actually have a restorative justice room that's designed to have circles with large classes. So that's in the science building in S1101.
Okay.
Can I add a little more about
Yes,
restorative
of course.
justice?
Yes.
So it is, at our school right now, the focus that we have is community building and also being there for others, helping others feel comfortable. But another larger aspect of restorative justice is to try to address the inequality within the discipline systems within schools. So restorative justice actually started out in the court systems. There it is. So actually started out within court systems to try to even out the inequality that exists for people of color being arrested more, having harsher crimes harsher punishments for similar crimes. And so the same thing happens in schools. We have students who are getting harder discipline and being suspended and things at higher rates than other students. So we use it in schools to try to find a way to even out the playing field and not have such harsh punishments for people. So the alternative to being suspended might be that you come in and do a circle with us, and you need to have a circle with us individually and then come together with the person who you had the conflict with.
So like a community service type of thing instead of
Kind of community
being
service,
punished.
but also owning it. If I do something to hurt someone else, then I need to own it, not just by
Right.
getting suspended and going and playing a game for the day or whatever happens to me
Right.
when I get suspended.
Yeah.
I need to talk to the person who I harmed, and they need to be able to tell me this is what happened to me, or maybe if the person I harmed doesn't want to talk to me because they're still feeling too nervous, their friend or someone else can speak to me and say, this is what happened. And it also gives me the chance, if I'm the person who harmed, to be able to apologize, to, on a heart level, be able to resolve the conflict, so I'm not walking around maybe with some guilt that I harmed that person and I have no way to resolve it if all that happened is I just got suspended. So it's actually the DA, I think it is, for San Francisco is a restorative justice person. So it's coming more and more into mainstream. So it's great that we're doing it here at Jordan too, because it's a movement within our country
that's
too.
good. We
Yeah.
need something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of the problems that you see happening a lot at school, like bullying, fighting, or discrimination, or what are some of the big problems here?
Do you all want to share?
I think the biggest one out of all would have to be judgment, because no matter who you are and where you come from, you're not someone who can judge another person because on how they believe or what their religion is.
Or how they look.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all different, so I think that's very important.
Yeah. How have you helped those people?
By talking it out with them and making sure that they feel safe and they keep an optimistic vibe no matter what goes on in life.
Just helping them socialize more with kids on campus,
Yeah.
right? Okay, cool.
So how many people are in your in your club in total?
Well, it's 8 plus us would have to be probably 11 probably.
11. And you guys started when?
Thursday.
Thursday. So that's pretty good so far. That's a good start. So so now, what are some of the problems that you've seen that we have at school that were like really, really like a problem, like they always happened, and like I gotta reword that question, my bad. So what's the problem that you've seen happen a lot at school that's like the rates of it actually happening now have gone down?
We're working on addressing issues with people fighting
Mm-hmm.
and social media, and then the fights ending up on social media. That's at the harm
I think that's
repair.
where it starts.
Yeah. So then somebody films it, and those kinds of things happen. We're just getting started in that part, which is really the real push for restorative practices. What we see, though, and you all can jump in, is people maybe not knowing each other's names. So you've been in the same classroom with somebody since the fall, and here it is May or April, and we don't all know each other's names even. So how can I relate well to you if I don't know your name?
Right.
So we do things to try to build those relationships within the classes so that students are less likely to do that. To maybe they'd be more likely to stop a fight instead of standing there and filming it. So hopefully those relationships are there, and then being able to be accountable to each other with placing boundaries up, and being able to stop some of that actual physical aggression, but even verbal aggression too, so that people feel more connected. Because I think one of the things with social media, don't you guys think, is that you can, or you all, don't you all
Yes.
think?
Definitely.
Yeah, right? Where like, it's like, oh, I can just do this, and it's sort of a faceless person. I'm not looking in your eyes when I'm saying those hateful things.
Right.
So,
And it starts a big thing.
Yeah.
Everyone's all riled up about it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I hope that that's something we can address. We don't have any data on that to show that we've addressed it yet, but we definitely have data to show that we're increasing relationships in classrooms, and helping students feel more comfortable in their classrooms with their teachers.
Okay, cool. You were telling us something about in Hello Neighbor. Can you give us some more insight about that?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's about, like, okay, say we came to your classroom, we tell you what class to come to, so we'll have our chairs ready, and you'll sit down in a circle, and we'll go over the game, and all it is, like, say we take out a chair, and then one person stands up, and they'll be like, hello neighbor, and they'll be like, hey neighbor, and you'll be like, all my neighbors who like cell phones, stand up. And then now you take a look at the room, and you walk around, fist bump or high five a person that who likes a phone, and then when you say go, you go to another seat and sit down by a different person.
You basically see like who else is like just not just like you, but have do certain things you do. Our goal is to make everybody get up to see like how it's like everybody else just like you, but not
See if you have something in common.
in common basically.
Right.
So like our goal is just to make sure everybody gets up and participate inside the game.
So it makes everybody active.
Yeah.
Not everybody like staying down or nothing.
So what do you tell a person who's really shy and doesn't like really like want to participate? What do you tell them in that case?
Well, one thing is we ask before we start. So now, since we started, nobody sat out to circle or any type of games we did. So it's like I couldn't really say like what we do, but like if I had to, I asked them, you could step out and watch us, like sit down in a chair and watch us, and then just let them step out.
Okay, cool. You give them an option.
Yeah, we give them an option. We also tell them it's not that bad. You can say really simple things. You don't have to dive deeply into it. So you can say, I like my Panthers who wear Nikes, you know.
Okay.
Or I sometimes try to push it deeper by saying, like, I like my Panthers who have ever dated outside of their race, dated somebody from another race. Or so it has to be something that's true about you, that you think is going to be true about other people in the circle. And then these guys are really good at, or these people are really good at thinking of things to say that will get everybody up. So, because you'll have the people sitting, they don't want to stand up because they're scared that they're going to end up in the middle. So what we do, if they end up in the middle, we're like, don't worry about it, we'll help you, right? Like, we'll help you think, we'll help you think of something. We're not going to just leave you hanging in the middle without something to think of, right? And part of it, too, is everybody shouts back at you. So you say, hey, Panthers, and then they all shout back, hey, Panther, and then you're kind of like, oh, yeah, and it kind of builds you up a little bit. Yeah, right? Don't you think? Even if you're feeling nervous. Yeah, so it kind of helps with that shyness a little bit. Yeah.
So you talked about how you were the president of the club, and do you guys have specific roles in the club, or do you help out with whatever you can?
So the club is a little separate. These three haven't been in the club yet. So this is the class, and then the club is something that's just kind of come up organically. They are very welcome to be in the club. It's just starting today, Thursday.
Cool.
So I'm not actually the president. I'm just what is it called? The faculty sponsor? What is that called? Sponsor? Yeah. So I'm just helping them get the structure together. But I can't even remember your question now. What was it?
So do they have like specific roles?
Yeah, so these three don't have specific roles in the club yet. One of the things I know about all three of these people is that they have friends that they like to hang out with at lunch. And so I don't see them. My room is open for lunch. And I don't see them, and that's totally fine. And so if they don't want to be part of the club, then that's totally fine, right? But they can come and be part of the club. But the club actually has 2 co-leaders and then a secretary, and then we're going to try to find a treasurer today. Okay. Yeah.
So is it today? Oh, it's today at lunch.
Yeah,
right?
so it's Thursdays at lunch in B220.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool. You talked about CCEJ camp, right? Is that what it's called? Okay. For those who don't know what that is, can you tell us, and when will the camp be? When will they be going to camp?
Sure. So CCEJ stands for the California Conference for Equality and Justice, and their focus is on making the world a more just and comfortable place for everyone, so looking at social justice issues. And the camps focus on giving people a safe place to express who they are, to learn about who others are. The camps are actually called Building Bridges, and so a big focus of the camp is to build a bridge between you and someone else who maybe you wouldn't have approached before. So this camp coming up, it's in March or April, I think it's in March, is focusing on racial justice. So looking at issues of race and how we're all treated as we walk through the world, being the race that people perceive us as, or, you know, how we identify ourselves. So that camp focuses on racial justice, but it also focuses on what we call the other isms. So racism, sexism, heterosexism, cisgenderism.
A lot of problems.
A lot of
we're having
isms.
today.
Yeah. So a lot of ways that just a lot of different names for how people are marginalized, or how people are, you know, we decide that we're different from each other for some reason. So those isms cause us to put those boundaries up between us. And the camp really, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, those isms, you know, they prevent you from talking to other people or communicating. So
Yeah.
So when you do go to this camp, is it just our school that goes, or is it other schools
So
at the same time?
Yeah, it's other schools too. This camp in the spring, we actually have a bunch of spots. So if you're interested, there will be 30 people from Jordan, 30 students from Jordan, and then a few of us staff members go along too. Other schools go too. We don't ever know who the other schools are going to be. Schools in LA, schools in Orange County, other schools in Long Beach. When I first started going to camp, a long time ago, like 20 years ago, it would just be like Poly and maybe 1 or 2 other schools from Long Beach, so it wouldn't be as much of a mix. But that's one of the things that's really cool about camp now, I think, is it mixes us up not just within the the J-Town people, but it's also other people too, not just Long Beach, but then Orange County and LA, and so it's really mixing you up, giving you the chance to talk to a lot of different people. Yeah, and offering you leadership opportunities and self-exploration.
That's a really big, important thing, I believe. Self-exploration. That's great.
So do you guys have any other big events besides the camp that you plan out? Or do you have an idea of like what events you would like to do in the future?
We would like to do some kind of community building event, right? Probably within our class. We'll think of a way to organize it. Something on campus at lunch or something to, like Miss Clancy's Club, Peace 908,
Yes.
right? So they have their Unity March, like maybe joining in with them. There are already things going on campus that we could do. The club members, I think, are going to think of some events, but we don't have anything to share with you guys today.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
But the camp is really great. And if we did have more than 30 people, which would be great and wonderful, if more people wanted to come, we might even be able to pull some more spots.
Oh.
And the camp is really usually pretty life-changing for people who go, especially for those of us who feel like we're kind of outside the fold of what other people consider typical or normal. It's a nice place to go and feel just comfortable.
That's great. How
Yeah.
long is the camp usually?
So you leave on Friday morning. You meet in front of the school and take a school bus up to the mountains. So it's generally in Yucaipa. And you're up in the mountains and you stay in a cabin for Friday night and Saturday night, and then you come home on Sunday. And Friday and Saturday morning, most people are a little bit like, what's this all about? And then by Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, there's a dance. Everybody's starting to connect more, and I hear students coming back saying that they've made connections with people that were so strong, and they never thought they would be able to feel so comfortable with people that they just met basically on Friday. But there's a lot of opportunity for dialogue created at the camp, and then you really do get to open yourself up in a safe place and feel supported by the people who are around you. So it's really great.
That's really great. I'm glad to hear that. We should
Yeah.
go.
So back to RJ. So what if it does it?
What if RJ doesn't work?
Yeah.
What if
what
that
if
restorative
after-
process
yeah.
doesn't work?
So,
Yeah, so we just, the way it works with the restorative process is you just kind of keep circling back around. So let's say, is it okay if I make up something where I harmed you? Just make
Oh,
up,
yeah,
I'm not
that's
going to
okay.
actually harm you. Okay, so let's say I harm Casey. And I work with somebody who's part of the restorative process, myself, Ms. Cervantes, Ms. Perez, too. She's off on maternity leave, but she's also part of the restorative circle here. We try, somebody works with me, somebody works with Casey. We decide, all right, they decide, we're ready. And then we sit down in that circle together. So it's still a circle with the same things in place that our community building circles have. So the same structure where there's a talking piece, there are circle agreements. Before we even sit down in the circle together, they're going to make sure that we're both going to follow the circle agreements. So we're going to agree to that before we sit down together. What might happen for me is maybe instead of getting suspended for 2 days, maybe I'll only get suspended for 1 day because I'm willing to participate in this process with her. So then, and she's willing to participate with me. So she could decide, you know what, you harmed me. I don't want to sit in the same room with you, right? And that's a reality of it. And then we have to look at something else, right, for her. Because since she's the one who's been harmed, we definitely want to keep her rights and her feelings of security and safety at a forefront. But we also want to look at my accountability and me learning what happened and how my harm affected her. So we wouldn't actually bring the two of us together. They wouldn't, the restorative people wouldn't actually bring the two of us together until they think that we're both really ready. And then let's say that we sit together and I pop off, right? I say something I shouldn't have or whatever. Well, then she could say, well, I don't feel comfortable sitting with you right now. And the person leading the process would say, okay, we're going to respect that. And then we'd separate again, and then we'd talk about what happened and then try to come back together. It's not something that at this point is going to totally replace that more punitive
The
process
system, yeah.
that we have right now. But it's my hope that it does, eventually really start to replace that more punitive process where it just becomes an option where, when I am sitting there with the administrator and I'm being asked as the harmer, right, as I'm the person who created the harm, as they're asking me about the situation, that I would have the option. Are you willing to sit down and do the restorative process? And then if I'm not willing, then maybe I am just going to get that more punitive measure. But at this point, I think it would be more of an option for the student.
So, what if they are cooperative in the group and they separate? We're out on campus, and friends are like, "Well, didn't you have a problem with so and so, right?" And something else happens. Do you turn it back over to administrators, or do you try to get them back into the circle?
We try to get them back into the circle, and then before we leave the circle, a big focus on this, and within the circle is, what do we need to do to make things right? So, what do I need to do to make things right as the person who created the harm? What does she need to have happen? As what can we do at this point to make things right? And so I think that would come up as part of that circle process. What are we going to do when we see each other on campus? If I were helping other students, taking me out, I'm not the person doing the harm anymore now, I'm the restorative person. If I were helping somebody with that restorative process, I would ask them, even before we got into the circle, what about when you see them on campus? Do you see them on campus now? Because this takes a little while. They're still going to be seeing each other on campus. Right. Do you see that person on campus now? Are they giving you the dagger eyes? Are they, doing anything that it makes you feel uncomfortable? Because then we would bring that into the circle. But we can always come back to the circle. It's not like where a suspension is like, I'm done, I did my time, I'm done. This process is more ongoing. Because maybe the person who did the harm, I might also have some needs that need to be addressed. And so maybe I'm depressed, and so I'm acting out angrily, or I'm homeless, and I am not really sure about where food or shelter is going to come from. So I have this level of anxiety, but I need help too. So that's a big part of the restorative process. So I'm the one doing the harm. What we used to do is just say, bam, you're suspended, go deal with it. Yeah. Now the restorative process is going to say, okay, you did all that harm. What is it that I need, or what is it that you need in order to be able to heal yourself so that you're not lashing out at others so much? So it's the relationship there. And that's what that would be between two students. But I know there was also the question about what happens between teachers and students. So that's one of the things that's more my personal sort of passion, is to see how we can use this process to repair and restore relationships between teachers and students, so that we have those dynamics at school where the student walks in, right away they feel uncomfortable in the classroom, they feel judged. The teacher might be like, oh, there he is, oh, he came today, right? Yeah. Like those kind of feelings. So to try, and maybe it's just over like some really simple little misunderstanding, that if we had the chance to talk it out in a safe place, that student wouldn't have to feel that way every time they walked into the teacher's room, and the teacher wouldn't have to feel that way every time the student walked in. So having those same kind of restorative dialogues, like what happened? Why are you uncomfortable? Asking the student, what happened? Why are you feeling this way about the student, to the teacher, right? And then just bringing those two together to solve that out. Yeah.
Right. I've met a few students who have told me they go into a class and the teacher, are like that with them. So if I wanted to refer them to you, would I be able to do that, or is that not an option as of now?
No, that's an option, because that's something that I really want to work on. I think it's definitely a community building part, or a community building need that we have on campus, and it's something that I've seen in my work as a teacher, but also I was a school psychologist before. So sometimes those simple little conversations of like, this is what's up, this is what's going on, can really help everybody feel more comfortable. So I would welcome those kind of conversations. And students can email me. I'm Miss Tinsley, so through School Loop. T like Tom, I, N like Nancy, S like Sam, Ley. And I'd be happy to try to help out with those. If it is something that's more than, I think, just a relationship, like if there's been some harm created that maybe an administrator might have to address with the teacher, then the students need to know that I also am obligated to share. But the way that looks, and the way it looks with us too, is we have confidentiality. They mentioned it before with the community building circles. So when you come to me, there's a level where I won't tell anything, and it's the same with harm repair. Like, I'm not going to tell unless I ask you if I can tell. So I wouldn't tell the administrator or the other teacher anything unless the student I'm working with said, okay, yeah, it's okay, you can tell the administrator, because if it's that level, yeah,
that's what I was about to ask. I was gonna ask if you guys could share any times that you had a student come up and talk about their problems with them, like if it's not too personal, obviously, you guys don't want to, say names or anything. But if you guys would like to share, like, some of the things that students talk to you about.
We haven't, so these guys have only been in the class since September or August when we first started, so we're just really new. So we haven't actually done harm repair yet, this group, all four of us yet, but we're right there, like we're almost there. I know as a school psychologist, I've talked to students who, when the teacher's just on them, and I talk to the student, they're like, I don't know what's going on. And then I talk to the teacher, and it's something simple as, he always taps his pencil while I'm teaching, and I just can't stand it, and it's so irritating. And so then they're really irritated at that student, and the student's like, I don't know. This isn't specific to Jordan, but it's in my work that I've done at other schools. And then I just say to the student, hey, instead of tapping your pencil on the table, why don't you tap it on your notebook? And then it's softer, because that's really irritating your teacher. So it could be just something as small as that. Or I did do a little bit of work at Jordan where a teacher made a comment about a student's mom, and the student's mom had passed. And that was really hurtful to the student. And the student was like, I don't feel like going into this classroom anymore. Mm-mm. And so luckily I called the teacher and spoke to the teacher, and the teacher was like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I had no idea. We shouldn't be making comments about people's moms anyway. But so that was one where it was actually good that the student could approach me. It was somebody who already knew me. And so they were able to approach me and say, this happened in my class. This is why, because they were showing up to my room instead of going to their class. And I was like, what's up? So they told me that. But the teacher was very much like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm going to pull that person aside and talk to them.
So what would you do? Like, do you have any practices with them so they can assist you with the harm process?
Mm-hmm. So we'll start training and looking at how to respond to somebody when somebody's very excited and worked up and feels harmed, or when somebody's worked up because they're part of the discipline process at school. So just looking at how to sit with people and help them calm down their nervous systems, making sure that we're all calm, coming from a place of where there's no judgment is also going to be part of our training. It's already part of what we're doing with community building. So looking at the situation objectively, and even though there might be things that we can relate to or that remind us of hurts that we've had, harms that we've experienced ourselves, how can we still be these objective people, just sitting and listening and being an open ear so that the person can share their harm. And then when the two parties would come back together, I would definitely need to be part of that. But there's definitely something that's more restorative about meeting with students than, meeting with your peers, than meeting with an adult, right? So that's where this practice is really important and key, is the mentorship that they can offer, because they might be the person who is coming for help would probably be more comfortable talking to them about it all than me. And that's just the reality, right? Yeah. So, and that's totally fine. So that's where they need to make sure that they're staying calm. So mostly being calm and centered, not judgmental, listening closely, not offering solutions, but allowing that other person to come up with the solutions using questions. So we have a bunch of restorative questions, and using those restorative questions to ask the people, to express themselves, and then also to come up with their own solution to the problem, because that's part of that process too.
So I want to make up a scenario and ask, what would you guys I want your opinion on how you would take this situation on. So say I was going to class, right? And people started making fun of me for the way I look. Just because they don't have a specific reason, they just bully me because of the way I look. And because of that, I don't want to go to that class anymore. I start missing out on that class, and I fail that class. And then I go to you, and you start noticing that, and I tell you why I'm missing that class. So what would you do? What would each of you do if I told you the reason why I don't want to go to that class anymore? How would you help me to motivate me to go back?
I would probably be have a one-on-one with you at first and see where we can go from there. And if something good can happen, then I would probably motivate you more about don't let them get to your head, because at the end of the day, they're no one to judge a person because of
how they look.
Yeah.
So what if the conflict keeps escalating after that? What if that doesn't work?
Then I might probably contact the teacher and see if I can get a circle going, and we can just make up a circle and see how far we can get and talk to the teacher, and then we'll hold the teacher and see what we can do about the kid who's doing this and why he's doing this to you, because you don't deserve to be made fun of just by the way you look.
So now, what if even after that still doesn't work? What would you do then?
I might get the principal involved and the teacher, you, him, and his parents, and see what we can do from there.
So that would be like the last step then?
Yeah.
So say that you have a friend, right, and you see that he's about to get into a fight, and you see the situation escalating. What would you do to calm that friend down?
I would be like, I thought she was gonna go ahead. I would probably talk to him and be like, this is something you don't want to do. You're gonna mess up your graduation because of something like this, and if you fight, it's not gonna help nothing but make it worse and cause more drama between you and this person. And it's just gonna make you want to fight this person more every time you see them,
Right.
and start something for no reason because they argue for it.
Right, yeah, that's something that I like that, because that's the mindset I have, because it's like, why are you going to start a fight for? What is it going to, it's just going to make you feel better if you win? What is it going to do after that? It's not going to do you much. It's going to look bad once you apply to colleges. It's going to affect you later on in the future, and it's going to make you look like a bad person. So there's really no reason to start a fight, you know. It's better to work things out, like just by talking one-on-one, or, you know, solving things like that. So, yeah.
Casey wants to answer that one too, I think, right? Yeah.
One thing about me, like, I'm so public, so I have so many friends. So one time I was in the middle of both of my friends wanting to fight each other. So I talked to each friend by myself. Like, earlier in the day I talked to this friend, later on before school was over, because it's supposed to be after school fight.
Right.
So I talked to the other person, and then I actually brought them together, like, in the bathroom. And even though they was, like, ready to, you know, fight, I told them, like, you know, to stop. You know, they talk about their situation. You know, I told them that's not a reason to fight. You guys shouldn't fight. And then, you know, they end up, I told them to, like, you know, we can hang out. So after the next day, we hang out at school. Ever since then, we hang out all the time. And now them two people are friends.
Cool.
So.
David, what would you do in this situation?
In my situation, I would go talk to the other person and see, like, why they're, like, want to fight that other person, or, like, either, like, just talk it out to them. And if not, then I don't know what happened, but I would go to talk to the other person too at other times. So I would probably do the same thing.
So we're gonna have a little segment called "Put Us On," where we ask you, which we're gonna ask you about your club and your 5 reasons why we should join. So you're gonna put us onto your club.
Oh, fun.
Okay.
Or
So we're
put
gonna
us onto
start-
your class. Can we put us onto the class?
Yeah.
Either one.
Or the club? How
Yeah.
do we do it? Can we do both?
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay. Okay.
So we're gonna go one by one,
Okay.
and then someone will like have to like do 2 or something.
Yeah.
I'll do the. How about you all do the class and I'll do the club?
Okay.
Yeah,
Does that work?
Start down here.
Okay.
Okay. I'll probably say, like, it's a good class. You'll feel welcome, and you'll feel like you're at home, and it's like nothing but a big family. Like, we do fun things. We make sure that everyone is treated equally, and make sure that everyone is safe no matter what goes on.
So for me, I'll tell you that more about the class of restorative justice, how we do it, and how we build a circle and how it builds up. And to that, I'll just like let you see how it goes from there if you want to join.
I make sure, like, you're comfortable. Like, our class, we make sure you're comfortable in being in the class. And then, you know, when we have our circles, you actually get, like, more comfortable in talking. Because, you know, I was shy when I first joined, like, the class. So when I first joined, I didn't talk as much. But now I'm talking so much. And, like, I'm more comfortable with everybody and that we do our circles with. So like, yeah, if you join, you'll be more comfortable in talking.
That's great.
And I would say for the class, it's definitely a place where you're going to feel comfortable, and also where you can feel like you're having a role in making our world a more just and good place to be, in creating connections. And for the club, we definitely want people to feel comfortable there too, and that's the whole focus of the club, is being able to come together with people and feel comfortable doing fun activities, also addressing some of the social topics that we have in our school and in our world right now. So if you want to be part of something that's bigger than you and make a difference in the world, make a difference at Jordan, make a difference in Long Beach, you could be part of the class, or you could also just come to the club on Thursdays and be part of that larger group in a way that feels comfortable for you.
Okay, so there we go. That was Put Us On, where we asked them to put us on their club. And as you can see, it's a really nice environment. Everyone's really welcoming. Everyone's really nice to each other. So, if you're shy, or if you're like one of those people that, doesn't really like to talk to people in class, this is the club where you can feel comfortable, sharing all your problems or anything that you might have inside you, So thank you for sharing that. So now, I hope I get this right the first time. So thank you for joining us on another episode of Panther Pod. Thank you for each of our 4 guests for coming here. Thank you for sharing about your club. And where can we find you again?
Oh, you can find me through email. I'm Miss Tinsley. Or you can also find me in my classroom, B220. And we're almost always there. Should I look at the camera? We're almost always there. So nutrition, lunch. You can find us in B220, or we're around third period is when this class takes place, and that's when we're in the restorative justice room. And that's where we'll probably have some more unity functions and things to get us all together. So that's the science building S1101.
All right, thank you. And
coming.
thank you for everyone that was watching. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
See you at our club.